There is a place hidden deep within the towering redwoods of California, a place where the world's most powerful men gather under the cover of darkness. Presidents, CEOs, and global elites step beyond the veil of politics and power to indulge in something far more sinister. They call it a harmless retreat. But those who have peered too closely, those who have dared to ask the wrong questions, either vanish or are silenced forever. What happens inside Bohemian Grove is not meant for the world to see, but tonight we step into the darkness. There are places in this world that were never meant to be seen by the public, where the powerful gather, shielded by secrecy. Deep in the forests of California lies one such place, a hidden retreat where politicians, billionaires, and world leaders meet under the cloak of darkness. They call it Bohemian Grove, but those who have tried to uncover its secrets often regret it. The story of Bohemian Grove begins over a century ago, in the seemingly innocent meeting rooms of San Francisco's wealthy elite. What started as a social club for artists and journalists would soon morph into one of the most mysterious and powerful organizations in the world. The year was 1872. A small group of San Francisco's most creative minds, including playwrights, journalists, and actors, formed the Bohemian Club, a private organization meant to celebrate art, literature, and the bohemian spirit of unconventional thinking. They would gather in lavish halls, drinking wine, exchanging ideas, and praising the power of free thought. But as time passed, something began to change. The club's members grew more powerful, more wealthy, and more secretive. Soon it was no longer just writers and poets gathering, it was politicians, military leaders, and men who controlled the world's economy. In 1899, the group moved its meetings deep into a secluded redwood forest in Monte Rio, California, building a massive 2,700-acre compound where no prying eyes could follow. It was there, in the shadows of the towering trees, that the Bohemian Grove was born. And with it the secrets, the rituals, and the fear. Unlike other elite gatherings like the Bilderberg meeting or Davos, Bohemian Grove isn't just about business or politics. It is about rituals, power, and control. Among its guests are some of the most powerful figures in history. Former U.S. presidents like Ronald Reagan, Richard Nixon, George H.W. Bush, and Gerald Ford have all attended. Members of the CIA, FBI, and military leaders have been spotted behind its gates. CEOs of the world's largest corporations, including oil tycoons and Silicon Valley billionaires, are known to be part of the Brotherhood. But despite the high-profile guest list, no journalists are allowed inside. No cameras, no recordings, no outsiders. Why? What could they possibly be hiding? At first, Bohemian Grove was seen as just another exclusive retreat, a place where the rich and powerful could escape the pressures of leadership and enjoy a few weeks of relaxation. But then, the stories began. In the 1920s, rumors of strange rituals began to surface. Locals who lived near the grove reported eerie chanting, bonfires that burned long into the night, and strange figures in hooded robes. Some say they heard screams coming from the woods, not the drunken laughter of businessmen on vacation, but something far more disturbing. In the 1950s, a young journalist named Philip Weiss attempted to infiltrate Bohemian Grove by sneaking in disguised as a waiter. He managed to witness bizarre ceremonies before being caught and thrown out. His testimony? These men, some of the most powerful in the world, gather in dark robes, chanting around a massive stone owl, sacrificing what appears to be a human effigy. A sacrifice to what? To Many believe that what happens at Bohemian Grove doesn't stay at Bohemian Grove. Conversations overheard at the retreat have shaped the course of history. In 1942, a secret meeting at Bohemian Grove led to the creation of the Manhattan Project, which produced the first atomic bomb. In the 1960s, conversations between corporate leaders and government officials at the Grove may have influenced the Vietnam War. In 2000, leaked recordings hinted at policy decisions being made behind closed doors, with no oversight, no accountability, and no democracy. If wars, economic crises, and world events are being discussed here, what else is happening that we don't know about? Former staff members who worked at the Grove have described disturbing experiences, strange occurrences that still haunt them to this day. One former security guard described how he saw a group of men standing in a circle in the dead of night, whispering in a language he had never heard before. Another, a waiter who served food at the retreat, claims that one evening he saw a hooded figure standing at the edge of the woods, motionless, watching him with glowing eyes. But perhaps the most disturbing account comes from a young woman who worked as a housekeeper at one of the elite lodges inside the Grove. "I was cleaning one of the guest rooms late at night when I heard something, a sound that still makes my blood run cold. It was a voice, but not just one. Many voices speaking in perfect unison, chanting something I couldn't understand. I stepped into the hallway, and that's when I saw them. A group of men in black robes moving toward the woods, and then they disappeared into the darkness." But if Bohemian Grove is just an exclusive retreat, why do so many believe it is home to something far darker, something hidden deep in the shadows? The answer lies within the rituals, and what happens next will chill you to the bone. Beyond the gates of Bohemian Grove, beyond the whispered conversations of world leaders and the smoke-filled rooms where history is shaped, lies something much darker. A secret that has fueled fear and speculation for over a century. A ritual. One that has been witnessed by few and understood by none. At the heart of Bohemian Grove's secrecy lies a ritual known as the Cremation of Care, a ceremony that takes place on the first night of the retreat. The scene is nightmarish. A 40-foot stone owl known as Moloch looms over a ceremonial altar. Hooded figures in red and black robes carry a human-shaped effigy bound in ropes. The effigy, called Dull Care, represents the burdens and worries of the elite, their guilt, their responsibilities, their moral conflicts. The fire is lit, and as the flames engulf the effigy, the robed figures chant in unison, their voices rising into the cold night air. But what if it isn't just an effigy? Some who have infiltrated the Grove claim the ritual has darker origins, that in the past, real human sacrifices may have been performed. Is it just symbolic, or is something far more sinister happening under the cover of darkness? If these men, presidents, billionaires, military leaders, are willing to simulate human sacrifice, what else are they capable of? Why Moloch? In ancient civilizations, Moloch was a deity associated with ritual sacrifice, often involving children. The biblical texts reference Moloch as a god who demanded burnt offerings. In occult circles, the owl represents wisdom, secrecy, and hidden knowledge, a fitting symbol for those who control the world from behind the scenes. But the most unsettling theory is that the owl is more than just a statue. It is an altar, a conduit for something ancient and malevolent. Despite its secrecy, a handful of individuals have managed to witness the rituals firsthand. Their stories are terrifying. In the year 2000, conspiracy theorist Alex Jones managed to sneak a hidden camera into Bohemian Grove. He captured video footage of the Cremation of Care, showing men in robes chanting and setting the effigy ablaze. The footage caused a massive public outcry, but mainstream media dismissed it as just elite theater. A former security guard, speaking anonymously, claimed to have seen robed men leading a bound figure into the woods late at night. I heard a scream, a single piercing scream, then silence. In 1972, a journalist named Paul Marchand attempted to sneak into the grove to investigate rumors of satanic rituals. He was never seen again. His abandoned car was found on the side of the road near Monte Rio, his notebook lying on the passenger seat, open to the words, "They are watching me." For decades, occult researchers have drawn chilling connections between Bohemian Grove and satanic rituals. The structure of the rituals mirrors those performed in ancient occult ceremonies, with chanting, fire offerings, and masked figures. Some believe that Bohemian Grove serves as a meeting ground for secret societies like the Freemasons and the Illuminati. Whistleblowers claim that the grove has underground chambers, used for rituals that the world must never see. But the most disturbing claim, that not all sacrifices are symbolic. If Bohemian Grove is simply an elite getaway, why do its guests seem to walk away with more power than ever before? Many of the most significant world events have ties to the Grove. The Manhattan Project in 1942, the plan to develop the first nuclear bomb, was hatched at Bohemian Grove. The first test, codenamed Trinity, took place 3 years later, forever changing the course of history. The Vietnam War in the 1960s, secret military strategies were allegedly discussed at the Grove long before the war escalated. Presidential elections from the 1980s to the present, some claim that future U.S. presidents are chosen at Bohemian Grove long before elections take place. If these claims are true, it means that the fate of the world is decided not in public debates or voting booths, but in the shadows of the redwoods. Bohemian Grove is more than just a retreat, more than just a playground for the elite. It is a place where power is unshackled, where rituals shape the course of history. But what happens when the masks slip? What horrors lie beneath the surface? Bohemian Grove has no shortage of whistleblowers, those who claim to have seen what really happens behind closed doors. But many of these people have something else in common. They disappeared, died mysteriously, or were silenced. Investigative journalist Paul Marchand believed he had uncovered proof of real human sacrifice at the Grove. He contacted colleagues, claiming he had photographs and recorded audio of the rituals. Before he could publish his findings, he vanished without a trace. His abandoned car was discovered near Monte Rio, doors open, engine still running. Hired by a former Bohemian Club member, Tinsley was tasked with uncovering what happens in the underground chambers rumored to exist beneath the Grove. Just weeks into his investigation, his body was found floating in the Russian River, the very river that winds through the Grove's property. Official cause of death, drowning. Autopsy report, bruises on the wrists, as if he had been restrained. Many others have tried to infiltrate the Grove. Few have lived to tell their stories. Whispers of underground chambers have long haunted discussions of Bohemian Grove. Some claim the rituals don't end with the Cremation of Care, but continue below ground in secret chambers. Witnesses describe labyrinth-like tunnels beneath the property, leading to hidden rooms, ancient altars, and something even worse, the true rulers of the world, the ones even the Grove's elite fear, are said to dwell here, away from prying eyes. In 1954, a former member of the Bohemian Club confided in a close friend that he had seen something in the tunnels. He described a stone altar, surrounded by skeletal remains. He spoke of chanting in a language he didn't recognize. Days later, he was found dead in his home, the official cause listed as suicide. The Cremation of Care ritual, the stone owl, and the underground chambers all point to something far older than politics or power. Some theorists believe the Grove's true allegiance is not to any god, but to something beyond human comprehension. Officially, the stone owl represents wisdom, but Moloch, the ancient god of sacrifice, was worshipped with blood offerings. Could the elite be performing real sacrifices to appease something unnatural? Several former employees of the Grove have reported hearing whispers in the trees, even when no one was around. Some say these whispers are not in any known language. Could the woods themselves be alive, or worse, inhabited by something watching, waiting, feeding? Most visitors to the Grove leave before the final night. Those who remain never speak of what happens. The bonfires burn higher. The chanting becomes more guttural. The Grove is sealed off. No cameras, no record, just silence. Could this be the real sacrifice, hidden from even the most elite members? Bohemian Grove isn't just a place, it's a mechanism of control. The men who gather there shape wars, economies, and governments. The decisions made in those dark woods ripple outward, affecting billions. If these men truly believe in their rituals, in the power of sacrifice, then what does that mean for the rest of us? Are we the real sacrifices? Some secrets are never meant to be uncovered. Some doors, once opened, can never be closed. What if the elite at Bohemian Grove were not in control at all? What if they were only the messengers of something far older? What if the rituals continue, not for them, but for the unseen forces that demand it? Bohemian Grove is more than a meeting place. It is a gate, and once that gate is opened, what comes through may never leave. They are watching. The powerful want you to forget, to believe this is all just a conspiracy, but tell me, do conspiracies leave behind bodies? Do harmless gatherings whisper in the dead of night? Do ancient gods demand silence and sacrifice? If you've made it this far, you've seen too much. They know you're listening. Before they make you forget, subscribe, like, comment. Let them know we are watching too. Because once you step into the dark, there's no turning back.